What's up, guys? We are Past Pop Culture. My name is Ricky with my co-host here, Mrphen.
Hello.
And we got a couple things to talk about, mainly John Wick, right? John Wick 4. So there is going to be a bit of a spoiler talk ahead. But also, if we get the chance to, and we don't run over the time, we'll talk about that dark and darker drama that's going on. And then maybe this interesting decision by multiverses to take down the game. I forgot about that. It was just a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, I think right off the bat, to give our unspoilery talk, where do you land on the scale for John Wick? 10 out of 10?
Yep.
Yeah. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I give it a 9.5.
Wow.
Nine and a half. I really enjoyed it. I just for me, right? And now we're gonna go into spoilers. So right, we're gonna talk about it, right? So go watch the movie, come back, right? The ending was interesting, and I didn't know how to take it. That's the hard part for me, and that's the only reason why I can't be like, this movie was like a 10 out of 10 for me. I could be convinced for a 10 out of 10, and I don't give those very often, right?
Okay.
I think 10 out of 10s I very rarely give on the podcast, right?
Never heard you say that.
Well, because we were talking about ReZero, the second season. That's it. I said that was as close as I can get to like a 10 out of 10.
True.
So I don't think I gave it a 10 out of 10. And then Spider-Man, I was like, the nostalgia in me was 10 out of 10. That's what I remember saying something like that. So there's been a few instances, but out of the how long we've been doing this, I've only done it a handful of times. But with that being said, I didn't know how to take the death. But however, I think it was a smart move to kill him off, even though I didn't want him to be killed off. I wanted him to kind of live his life, right? To be free, right? Because that was the whole point. But then he dies at the end. So I feel it got a little bit crushed there. But I was talking and I was like, you know what? I was talking to my family and I was like, and my brother, and I was like, it makes sense though that they killed him off, because in this time and era of movie making, if you don't kill a character, actually even if you kill a character, right? But if you kill off a character, it's less likely that they'll just make you keep doing movies, right? And I think either Keanu Reeves or the director knew that they should probably try to kill him off so that they don't keep trying to milk John Wick in the future. Well, if that makes sense.
Guess what?
Are they doing a spin-off?
They are severely thinking of doing John Wick 5. They're almost going to say, yeah, we're going to do a John Wick 5. Mm-hmm. So I think that was just announced maybe yesterday or today. So knowing that, I think the ending is kind of not good anymore, because so why would they call it John Wick 5?
Yeah.
Unless you're gonna do the whole, he's quote unquote his not his work name's killed, but he's still alive.
Yeah, that's the thing, because we never saw the body, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing where it's John Wick died, right? To tell to make it seem like he escaped, right? Mm-hmm. That's what they had to do, was legally kill him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because John Wick 5, well then that changes it, because I was well, maybe they want to change it, because if we look at the Matrix 4, right, and how Keanu Reeves basically just phoned that in, I was well, it makes sense to come off, because maybe he's oh, I don't want to be forced to keep playing this character and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why to me, I'm okay, well then it makes sense. And I thought, okay, if the director was doing that, that makes sense. But if they want to do a 5, if they have what's his name?
Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen, but I don't remember the character's name within the Kane, yeah. If they had his own spin-off, then that's fine, right? That's his own thing. I wouldn't really care, right? Or the daughter, they show
in Japan or whatever.
Yeah. So that's fine if they do a spin-off and it's that its own thing. But I'm talking about John Wick itself. But if they do John Wick 5, like you said, well, they're still using the name, so it's Maybe if like they call it like Kane, a John Wick story or something like that, or I don't know, some stupid name where it's like they
does
throw
like
in
this
John
universe
Wick there.
have a title? Like,
I
don't
don't
think
know
it
if there's
does,
like
right?
it's just like the John Wick universe. That's all it is. It's
Because
just
there is
like
going to be spin-offs.
yeah, like I'm fine with spin-offs, right? But I'm talking a mainline series.
Yeah.
And that's what I was like, okay, it makes sense they killed him off because I'm sure Keanu Reeves is like, I don't want to be doing more movies and I don't want to when I don't want to do them.
Well, he's
So it
supposed to
makes
do
sense.
Constantine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know if that's still even happening now, right?
Yeah.
So but I think like to me it made sense like, oh, if he doesn't want to do it, then yeah, like cuz it kind of felt like they had to kill him at the end though because I don't know, maybe but I don't think I mean, they didn't show the body so yeah, like you're right, like they always could just say, "Oh, he legally died, but he's fine," and then he
Yeah.
does a fifth one. So there's still that little like like
Potential.
Well, personally, I mean, like, I think it'd have been like I'm not gonna be upset that he died or something, but it's just kind of like it is a little bit like wishy-washy there. But now that you told me that, then now I have to revise a little bit because I was like, oh well, okay, like maybe that's why they did it because that makes sense, right? Like to me, it made sense. Like, oh, they don't want to do it.
Yeah. Well,
Do
because they
anymore.
don't. But see, the director and Keanu Reeves already says like, no, like John Wick 4 is like we're done. Like it's perfect time to end it. You know, we don't really want to do it anymore, so let's like end it. And that's how they made it. So, and the movie was supposed to be longer. It was supposed to be like almost 4 hours long.
Oh wow.
And so they cut out a lot because they're like, oh yeah, we're in trouble. And it's like, but you know, they wanted to end it with a bang. And
Yeah, the movie's like 3 hours or something. It's just shy of 3 hours.
it's like 2 hours and 49 minutes. So yeah, basically.
Yeah.
3 hours. But I don't know. I like the ending. I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, all right, you know, everyone won, right? He saved pretty much Kane. Now he gets to see his daughter. He saved.
Well, did you see the end credit though?
Well, yeah. Well, quote.
Yeah.
But see, like that could be a spinoff right there, like right, because maybe Kane hears that somehow, or it's like a whole series about the daughter. Like there could go many ways, but I think with John Wick dying like that, and like I guess everyone won, like I kind of like that ending. But now that there might be a part 5, it's like, well, why did he go through all that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, what would be the point really to do another one?
To go after the table, I guess, but why?
Yeah, but then he's like, he did all that work just to leave.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It is kind of speculatory because I don't know. I'm not sure if you got the trailer, but they have that one. It's supposed to take place in like Finland or something like that.
Oh my gosh, I want to see that.
That one, and he's supposed to be doing that one.
Yeah.
And that one looks pretty good. I want to see it. It looks to be more of a gory, kind of more fun version, right? Like, because John Wick is very serious. So while I like John Wick, it is a serious kind of movie. I mean, it's a little goofy here and there, right? But
it was kind of funny, this one.
But yeah, it was just kind of like it's a more serious take on like all this action stuff, right? Versus if it's more that like
he was holding
weird...
a trash can lid blocking bullets, so
yeah, I was like, I don't know how to word it. Like, yeah, I was like, oh, you got Captain America over here. So, but yeah, I think it was pretty good, the trailer, and so I'm like, oh, okay, I'm excited to see what he does next, right? Because I don't want to force him to keep making John Wicks, right? Like,
exactly,
because John Wick is gonna be like one of those action movies that when we look back on it, we're gonna look at it kind of like how like people look back on like Rambo or Terminator or like Rocky, right? Like people are gonna be like, oh, these were some of like the great movies of that time. And I do think that's probably gonna be true, right? Going into the future, right? Because you've seen like when the first John Wick like landed, it just like caused this huge explosion and it forced all other action movies to step up their game. Right? Because if it wasn't at least able to kind of semi be in the same field as John Wick, which is very difficult to do, most people didn't like it as an action movie, right?
Yep.
And so it became this more tactical, serious thing, a lot of the movies, because that's what people liked and people wanted. This new one seems to be like a goofier take, and I'm kind of here to see it because I want to see what he can do when it's more just like just crazy and nuts and right,
Yeah.
and it's like oh, he's fighting Nazis, so he can kind of just go all out and do anything
Isn't that
without
what they
anyone
said in like
complaining.
the reviews?
Yeah,
Like
like this is the most
killing
fun you have.
Nazis.
Yeah,
I was
so
like, all right.
Nazis are the perfect
Yeah.
enemy, where it's like no
Yeah.
one's gonna be like, well, well, I shouldn't say anybody. It was like no one's gonna be like, well, I think we should have gone around killing them.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a pretty good like the pinnacle of like evil baddies. So it's like
Yep.
it's totally fine, right? So I want to see like how he can just go all out on it.
Hmm.
And yeah, but going back to John Wick, I think the action, this was like the fourth one really cemented the formula. I feel like I think
Oh yeah.
this one was like they knew exactly what they had to do. They like, and it didn't feel like oh they're just going through the motions. It was like from the beginning to end was like this is the John Wick formula. We know how to make it good. We can always improve on it. But they had
They
it
did
down
though.
pat.
And they had
Yeah.
the Donnie Yen choreo, like the how he fights and everything. So that I think that amplified this movie like tenfold.
Yeah, Donnie Yen's character was really good. Some people didn't like the like him being blind and like, oh well. I think they kind of made it realistic where like at times he was still like,
He was slipping and like he
yeah,
couldn't find them. And,
yeah, or like when he was quiet and he's like,
Yeah.
okay, he was trying to see if he was dead or not and trying to listen for breathing. My favorite though was when he put those little
the doorbell
devices
things.
in his
Yeah.
and yeah,
And
and
I was
so
like, what the heck's he doing? I was like, I thought they were bombs, but
yeah,
I was like,
and then
okay.
so that he can hear or he can know where they're at, and then so that's what he's doing, and so it was pretty cool. I mean, yeah, like sure that's the more unrealistic, I guess, aspect to it, but
It's more grounded though. Like compare
yeah,
him to Daredevil.
but yeah, it's not Daredevil level,
Yeah.
but it's still pretty good. Like his lack of sight was still a disadvantage at times, and they took that into account here and there. But sometimes they did throw it out the window, but it's fine. Like,
Yeah.
I like John Wick for their capture of realism, but like it's fantastical realism, right? Like it's like it's to the very extreme of what people could maybe sort of do, right? Like that's kind of what
Yeah.
it feels like. And so I don't know. I wouldn't really like throw a hissy fit about it, but I know some
Yeah.
people like reading around
If
they
they're
didn't like
making
that
hissy
aspect.
fits about that, and it's like really like, what do you want? Like he gets hit by a car once and he's dead. Movie's over. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah,
Learn to
like
relax.
yeah. So it's like I think that is an important distinction to make, but I don't know. It is kind of like a weird, iffy thing, but I don't know. I enjoyed it nonetheless. I it's like my favorite characters was like that German dude with the gold teeth, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
was,
he's just
I actually that was it was my first like whole scene, but I think what really took the cake was when they did that top down view.
oh yeah, where it kind of looked like a video
gosh.
game. That's
Okay,
like I was
so
like,
I said that. I was like, it reminds me of Hotline Miami.
there
Have
we
you-
go. I was trying to remember like there's like Hotline Miami or there's like one or two like classic games, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean,
But-
you can easily say like oh, it's like Metal Gear, right? Like there's scenes like that
No.
in terms
So,
of like camera
and
work. But go
somebody
ahead.
who was interviewing them asked, "Is like, hey, during that whole scene, was it influenced by video games?" And it's like, well, not necessarily like a specific video game, but we did kind of loosely see a video game called Hong Kong Massacre or something like that, and it's like the type of because it was literally like wherever they were, and then like had a shotgun. And it was pretty much like all that was going through the walls and everything. So it's like that's kind of where they drew the inspiration from. But I thought Hotline Miami. So, but
Yeah,
man, that was
because
tickling
there's a
my
lot of
pickle.
top down, like shooter games that
Yeah.
kind of do stuff like that, right? Or like there's different like angles that they use, like interesting angles that
Yeah.
really make it look kind of similar to that, like when they got into like the top down, mainly when they're on the top down, but that transition that they did where he's on the
yes.
stairs and he's like right there trying to shoot,
Yes.
that was really good. And that's what I always enjoy is that they always have like one or two like standout scenes that are just like, I mean, all of them are really good, but there's like one or two where they just like really go in hard with the camera work, and it's just like, yeah. But like, yeah, the scene where the cards and everything, right? That was really good.
Oh my gosh, the
all
cinematography.
the scenes were really good. The strongest I think the middle part was the strongest. Like after Japan, right? I think like the Japan part was good, right? But I really liked that part where they're like fighting in the nightclub and everything. You always have to have a good shootout in a nightclub, right?
That was
Like
beautiful.
yeah. So it's like it was like that. It's like just him fighting him
Yep.
because like he's just from the inhaler and then he's like going to fight him and stuff. Like it was cool. Like I don't know where they find these people, but
I
it's
don't
like
know, man.
it's like I just enjoy that like they bring these like people in like those two like giant sumo wrestler guys, right?
When he just like full and smacked the guy with his open palm, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's
I'm
like
loving it.
yeah, so it's pretty like I'm glad that they even the small stuff like that they really try.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I know some people are like saying that they like 3 more. I'm kind of in the camp of where I did enjoy 3 a lot. So it's kind of hard
Oh,
where it's like
I don't know about that.
I think this one's like I think this one like I said it's like the solid formula. This is the pinnacle of John Wick. This is like and so I don't know. It's just we'll see though. Like I think it's totally fine. Like I think from the first one to the fourth one, I think they really cemented it. Like you can see the evolution of the action, but it's always good throughout the whole way. So yeah, I think that's just kind of it though. That
10 out of 10.
yeah, really good, really good. And yeah, but I'm interested to know what anybody listening, what's their opinion on it? What did they like? What they didn't like? Especially, I think because it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, this game or movie or this show, like it's awesome, right? Like because we're fangirling over it. So it's like, I'm interested to see like, well, what are things that people didn't like, right? Like for me, it was kind of like, okay, the death. Right, like I don't know, kind of how to feel about it. But now that you mentioned it, it's like because my logic was like, oh, maybe just John, he doesn't really want to play like John Wick anymore. Keanu Reeves is kind of like, oh well, I don't know if I really want to keep doing this because it's probably tough training, right? Like to do all that, like
It is.
he
looked tired doing it.
Yeah, and so I think yeah, like I hope that I don't know. Part of me is like, man, they can milk up for 1 or 2 more movies before I probably get tired. But yeah, but that's the hard part where it's like I'd rather have this be like, yo, this is like the classic
golden,
action, movie, like the golden child of like, this is it. Like this is what you have to be. So yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much it gets milked in the future if they do spin-offs. But I do want to quickly go over the other news, right? So Multiverses is shutting down this summer. It's going to be back, but in 2024, early 2024, which sounds so it's like I hate how we're in the 2020s. But yeah, so I don't know. A lot of people are pretty upset though in the comments. If you're looking at Multiverses, and they're kind of trying to do some damage control in the comments, where they're like, "Hey, if you have questions, hit up the the email here, and then you can ask your questions." Or sometimes they're just directly responding, but it's I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Like for me, it's like I forgot this was like an open beta. Like they left it open for so long that they should have just made it the full release. They're like, we're not gonna take it down. I don't think taking it down for that long. I think if they're like, hey, servers are gonna go off, like we're not gonna push another update. Servers are gonna go like offline, maybe, but I don't know. It's like the game's not in the best position to do that, right?
Yeah, because now what are they gonna do, right?
Yeah, you can still do offline and like their little arcade modes or something like that. They have
that.
Yeah, so I think like they're gonna kill their game if they do this, but it'd be very interesting. I don't know, maybe it works, but it's supposed to be I don't know, maybe they taken it down to do a complete relaunch and everything to try to regenerate hype. I don't know what it's a risky move, and I'm willing to I want to see how.
I don't see it working, to be honest.
Like I want to see how it works out.
Like it was open beta for what, like 3-4 months. Might as well just leave it open, constantly fix it. People like the updates. People are gonna come back because they say, "Oh, big update, time to play again. Big update, time to play again." And now it's like, "Oh, they cut them all off. Oh, we're now gonna go play some other game. Oh, it's releasing next year. Oh, well, sure.
Yeah,
it's the same game."
So yeah, I don't know. It's iffy, but we'll see. We're just gonna have to see and wait. But I feel bad for all the people that paid all that money and they're like, wait, where's it going? Hold on.
Well, it's supposed to transfer over, but you can't use it for like half a year. So.
Yeah, so it's like you paid $100 and then they're kind of like, wait, we're taking
Hold
it away
that for a
from you?
little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be like, I don't know, man, I don't know. It's a little iffy to me, but you know, talking about iffy, right? We got this Dark and Darker
Ooh, man.
DMCA allegation.
Spicy.
So,
Spicy.
Nexon, I guess they make Maple
Story.
Story.
They're billionaires essentially.
So they're like this big South Korean company, right? And they have they're trying to take down Dark and Darker because apparently one of the devs for Dark and Darker, right, took an idea from Nexon,
allegedly,
and he left the studio, made it himself, and that's what they're saying that he took it from a project called P3.
P3, yeah.
And I don't know. Part of me, even if the guy did do it, part of me wants to say I don't really care. Like, I mean,
but do you know like some of the like minor details? So the guy that guy's been sued for like almost a whole year already. Yeah.
So, and also there's like a whole thing on it where he left because he didn't like how the management was going on. He couldn't do anything. He was working on the game, but the game actually was uncovered before. Like they've talked about it publicly, right? So they're trying to say, oh, it was the secret thing. It wasn't secret. People have heard about it. They're trying to claim he took the assets. The assets are the same assets that you can get from the Epic Store. That's what they're claiming. And so they're like, hey, wait, we downloaded the same assets. That's why from the asset store. And that a lot of this is just generic stuff that you can download. So they can't claim that. And then their final claim was that there's no way they could have done it in 10 months without stealing the code. And then he just said skill issue. And
with receipts.
And he's like, no. He's like, you're just a bureaucratic company, so that's why you guys suck and all this. And so I honestly like, even if he did take it, I'd just be like, that's kind of based and like just leave it. It takes the thing from a big company and just like, I'm like, even then, I'm like, that's not gonna stop me from playing it. Like, oh wow, like a couple guys, like one dude didn't like the company, was like, all right, well, I'm gonna take what I did and leave. And he even openly said that I'm gonna leave the company and pursue a game like this, but I'm not gonna use any of the stuff we already worked on here. It's gonna be all my own work. And all the other
with eyewitnesses,
the other employees testified to this, saying yes, he did say this. He's not using the assets, and then they're trying to get him on like, oh well, you were accessing our files illegally from a server, from your private server. And they're like, nope. This was during COVID and it was work at home, and I kept dropping the receipts to be like, hey, I'm taking this, and you guys would approve it every time and you guys would let me do it. So, and he's like, and even then it's still Epic Asset Store stuff. So it's like,
let me spend money. Oh man, I love it.
So now I think this is really, because now everyone's hating on Nexon, right? Like literally, like everyone's like, all right, everyone has pitchfork and like torches, and like they're ready to like take down Nexon, right? Like no one likes them anymore. No one wants to play their games because they're doing this, right? Yeah, and I think this shows the power, right, of like the community at large, right? Yes. Where it's like if people actually like. Dark and Darker has been fairly open and responsive about everything, right? For the most part, right? I think we can all agree on that. So because they have such goodwill within the community, you have so many people, right? Like very large content creators going out of their way to be like, nah, we're not, screw Nexon, we're supporting Dark and Darker. Yep. Iron Mace is good. They're a good company. And even then, even if they did steal it, we don't care. Like, who cares? You're just this giant corporation against like, what is it? Like a handful of dudes. Like, huh? Yeah, it's just a handful of dudes that are making this game. Like, I don't even know how many people they have, right?
Exactly.
But they're trying to sue him. They're trying to take him down. But all their claims are pretty much baseless. There really isn't anything to get him on. And it's like, even if they're like, oh, the idea of the game, it's like, well, it's a Tarkov, like.
Well, there's even another game that looks exactly like Dark and Darker. So it's like, if
Yeah.
anything, we're copying that one, if it were true.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it is scary though. I don't know. Nexom has billions of dollars. They're gonna bleed them dry.
Yeah, but that's the hard part where it's like, okay, now we have to decide like, how do we support the devs, right? Because if everyone just stops playing their games, right? I don't play their games. I don't know what other Nexon.
All I know is Maple Story. I don't even.
Yeah,
Actually,
Nexon games
I think
list.
Nexon's like with that weird like alien looking thing.
Yeah. Oh, their stock's actually down. That's kind of funny. If that is the same company. Yeah. So who bought Nexon? Okay, so no. Oh, Saudi Arabia bought a 1 billion chunk of Capcom and Nexon. Oh wow, this has like a bunch of interesting stuff on here. Yeah. Okay, so Nexon Games, if you go to Wikipedia, I guess they have Maple Story 2, Maple Story DS, Nexus, The Kingdom of Winds, Titanfall, Assault, Titanfall, Frontline, Quiz,
Oh no, not Quiz.
Kimono Friends,
What are any of
Crazy
these games?
Arcade, Counter-Strike Online. That's in 2008, I think they did that. So
Sure.
like, I think they're maybe more just Fantasy War Tactics
Sure.
and Elseworld. So basically Maple Story, right? Like, if people just don't play Maple Story, right, I think we'll be fine, right? Like, I don't play it, but I think if they lose a bunch of players, and maybe they'll get a little bit scared, and the shareholders will start going, "Hey, no one's buying our stuff anymore. What's going on?" And then they'll force them to back off.
Yep.
Maybe that's what we're gonna have to do. I don't know. It seems like the claims are pretty baseless, but the hard part is that they keep just trying to throw stuff at them and seeing what sticks. So they're probably pretty willing
to go.
They have a vendetta against them, right? Like I think they're gonna just try to get them to be like, take them to court, make them waste a bunch of money, so you can't produce the game anymore. That's gonna be the hard part. Is like, I don't know what's the strategy here, because it's true. Like, the thing is, Nexon though, the thing is, if they put out their game, nobody should play it. If they're able to somehow get the game out, right? Their Dark and Darker version, I guess, of P3, right? I don't know what it's going to be, right?
Light and lighter.
Yeah, right. The darkest and even darker, right? Like,
Medieval Dark. Oh, I like that name.
And if they put it out, no one has to play it. Like, if no one plays it and they just let it die, even if Dark and Darker loses, we have to make sure that nobody plays it, and that's it. Right. Like just nobody plays the game, and that it dies, and that they wasted all that money for nothing. So that's what we have to make sure to do.
Stupid.
But yeah, like it is scary, because it's like they're getting sued and they're getting DMCA'd. Like, they can't even work on it, and they have to be very careful how they talk about it, right? So it's like,
and they're getting raided.
Yeah, and they got raided, and then they didn't find anything, and they're like, go ahead, sure, right? So like, they're doing this to intimidate them. So I don't know. I mean, it's like, I like Dark and Darker. Everyone likes Dark and Darker for the most part. So it's like, except for Nexon, right? I don't know. I'm very interested to be like, what do the employees feel? Because they know, like, the devs, right? Like, so I don't know. Like, I mean, of course, like, the random game designer in Nexon is like, he has nothing to do with this, right? Yeah. But I'm like, could you imagine, like, some guy you used to work with, the company you're at is like raiding them and then like doing all this stuff? Like,
yeah, I don't know, like, destroy morale for sure.
Yeah, like no one's gonna want to work on the games while they know that, like, if they leave and they take any idea, that they believe that they own, right? The company doesn't own your ideas, though, right? I mean, and this is very common, right? Like, Disney is like, they have that stuff where it's like, oh, any art that you make while you're working for them is technically Disney's. So like, it's to prevent them, like, competition and stuff. Yeah. So it's like, you know, but it's like that's not really fair to me. It's like you make it, right? Like even if on your off time and it's like your own thing, it's like, but they own it, right? So that's the hard part is like they're trying to kind of do that, and like I think it's more just to scare anybody from trying to leave the company and then pursuing their own thing, right? Like
Unfortunate.
it's just kind of I don't know, man. It's just I think it's just a bad look for Nexon. I think like but at the end of this, even if Dark and Darker goes down, the goodwill is just lost. I mean, Nexon didn't really have any goodwill, really, but like I didn't really know about them. Like I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. Like now it's like definitely where it's like, oh well, I don't want to like buy any of their stuff if that's the case. Like I won't like we need to make sure like whatever they put out, nobody plays, so that they're like, well, that's what you get. And that's the like only thing we can really do against them right now is like just to be like, hey, we're gonna support Dark and Darker and show like Nexon like, hey, you know, we're not playing or paying for your stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're doing this.
We can't even buy Dark and Darker, right? So
yeah, it's like I think maybe we can try to like support them. I don't know if they have their like Kickstarter or something going on. I don't really know. And even then, I don't even know if they can ask for money because of the case, right? Because it's like technically going towards the game. And so it's like I don't know, like that gets kind of like iffy. So I don't really know like what's the whole thing, or maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. I don't really see how this is going to turn out well for Dark and Darker if Nexon just goes for the like attrition warfare kind of thing of bleeding them slowly.
Dang.
But I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to keep it updated.
An eye on it,
yeah, because it is very sad. It's very disappointing when that happens. But I think that kind of covers everything though that we have to talk about today. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on your preferred podcast listening platform, leave a 5 stars, a thumbs up, comment, however it works on there. Good review. We'd very much appreciate any and all support. We're going to actually head over to our twitch.tv/pastthepopculture. If you want to come and hang out, we're going to play a little bit of Call of Duty. What is it? Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays, right? That we're live every 2:00. Right, so come hang out, talk to us. Hey, did you like John Wick? Hey, what did you not like? What do you think about this whole Dark and Darker shenanigans, right? Did you play multiverses and put in all that money? Let us know, right? Like, I'm very interested to see how everyone feels on that. Oh, yeah. Follow our social medias at Past the Pop Culture, pretty much on everything, right? You know, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, right? We're usually posting clips on there, right? Been a little behind, but we'll get back to it. And I think that's it. Thanks for listening, guys.